The Clemson spring game coming up this Saturday. Talking up the Tigers here at the Voice of College Football. We got Ryan Cantor on the line, shaking the Southland, and also tigernet.com. And of course, Ryan, you've also kicked off a YouTube channel. Tell us about that.
Yeah. If you're interested in Clemson sports specifically, just search my name. I'm sure Mark will link it. And Ryan Cantor on YouTube. We're over 150 subscribers, and we just started a few months ago. So if you're interested in Clemson specific content, especially football, definitely subscribe.
Good stuff right there. Ryan has been joining us for a long, long time, although it has been quite a long time since we've
Yeah.
seen Ryan. So it's good to see you. And I know you're excited about, and rightfully so, about the recent news that came out just a few hours ago concerning the approach that Dabo Sweeney's going to take to the Clemson spring game.
Yeah. So it just dropped that we're gonna have first team offense against first team defense, and then second team offense against second team defense. Never seen that before in a spring game, and I think it's going to be a lot more interesting. It's really because a lot of times in these spring games you're missing two offensive linemen, and then you're dividing the three starters. You're missing, in this case, that we're missing two offensive linemen, missing three wide receivers, so you got to divide up kind of the remnants, and you end up with bunch of walk-ons playing huge roles. So what they're going to do is they're going to have the starters, and they'll let Cade Klubnik go behind at least three starters on the offensive line. They'll have Antonio Williams as his go-to receiver. He'll have Cole Turner as a deep threat, and so we'll really get to see that offense against a very good defense, which should be the Clemson starting defense. And then we'll see the depth when the other sides of the ball are on the field.
It's kind of easy to cherry pick the two big narratives and storylines that people are following. They want to see Cade Klubnik perform well, and they want to see the Garrett Riley offense.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's always exciting to see a new quarterback. We just saw a little bit of him at the end of last year. At minimum, he's really fun because he's a gunslinger. DJ Uiagalelei, good when during his good times and his bad times, was always a little bit more conservative. Cade is more of a speedy runner. He's willing to take more chances with the ball in the air, throw it deep. So at minimum, it's going to be more fun and exciting. And I think it'll open up the offense to be more explosive. Um, and I think with Garrett Riley's offense, you'll see more tempo. What I'm excited to see, and I kind of find it almost ironic, is for years we've been saying, hey, you should use the tight ends more. We've got some talent there. You should use the middle of the field more. Why don't you use more tempo? And that's all the things we're hearing in spring. So, man, if that all comes true, that's going to answer a lot of wishes for several years.
As you scan the field on both sides of the ball, are there particular units, and not everything's going to be solved, nor is it going to give us a strong indication, because a reminder again for everyone, 15 practice sessions, probably 3 scrimmages is usually the average for most of these teams, this being one of the 3, and the other ones behind closed doors may be a little bit more exotic and meaningful because they're working in things that they don't want anyone to see. But still, as you look at, again, not just this particular spring game, but what you've been able to gather that's been going out on the field during spring, are there positional units that you're more concerned about?
Yes, definitely defensive end. KJ Henry and Miles Murphy are both headed to the NFL. Xavier Thomas is out with that foot injury, although he's supposedly doing very well, so he should be fine for the regular season. But those 3 guys not playing in the spring, 2 of them obviously off to the NFL. So what's left? Justin Maskell is a 6th-year player who's returning. His PFF grades have never been good. A lot of people are optimistic about kind of that last year breakout like KJ Henry had, like Kevin Dodd had. And I think that's possible, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't really seen glimpses of it yet. So I'm interested to see him and see if he looks like he's taken a step. His position coach has kind of alluded to it, that he's really taking care of his body and is kind of ready to kind of break through. So want to see that. And then we have freshmen coming in. Who Peter Woods. He's on the inside, but I think so he'll play a defensive tackle in the spring game. But I still want to watch him because I think for this season he has a chance to make an impact at defensive end. They haven't moved him out there yet, but they've all but admitted that it's likely going to happen. And I think he has a chance to start. I mean, you'll have Xavier Thomas when he's healthy starting, but between Maskell, Cade Denhoff, who's another guy to watch, and Peter Woods, I think one of them will emerge. And sort of based on the chatter, I have a feeling Peter Woods could be the guy.
And Ryan, the contrast, as you well know better than I do in watching every game, but I watch all the reasonably big games, so I see Clemson a good 6 or 7 times a year. It wasn't just the drop off at wide receiver, but it's the stark contrast of that level of play at wide receiver versus what was arguably the best wide receiver play in college football for 5 or 6 years or more. And suddenly, yes, seeing the most outstanding group that gain separation, that fight for the football, that win 50-50 battles, to guys that are just not even, shoot, forget that, just don't drop wide open throws at times. It was just crazy how quickly uh, was the decline at that position.
Yeah, and part of it is a little bit of bad luck because they landed big time recruits in Frank Ladson and Joe Ngata, and both of them struggled with injuries pretty much their entire Clemson career, and that kind of started the flip there that you're alluding to. So I think that's part of it. I also think with NIL, it's particularly hard to not be a heavy NIL kind of approach with recruits specifically at the wide receiver position, as opposed to like offensive line or even quarterback. So I think those kind of two combination of things have been hard for Clemson. And then of course a lot of Clemson fans will say that Tyler Grisham as a wide receiver coach has been a drop off from Jeff Scott. I think this is his kind of his year with his guys to sort of prove that that's not the issue.
So, is there a guy currently on the roster that you look at, or two or three guys on the roster that have the potential, not to put the weight of the world on them, but again, this is the standard: Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Bryant, that next Justin Ross type wide receiver?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say, the next T. Higgins or Nuke Hopkins or anything like that. But I do think Cole Turner is a really, really critical X factor for this team. He redshirted last year, but he came on at the end and got 3 games in. And you could tell he was a deep threat. He averaged over 20 yards a catch. And that's what this offense is so desperately needed, is they've been so conservative and maybe even I'd say boring, is they just kind of try to matriculate it downfield step by step by step, and then you have a penalty or a sack, and that's the drive. Um, and I talked about Cade and how he's a gunslinger, and Cole is a guy who's going to zip deep and he's going to beat guys with his speed, and Cade is not scared to throw it up. Um, and with a new offensive scheme that they want to take shots, so I think Cole Turner is an important player. Um, Adam Randall as well, but he's not going to play in the spring because of the other knee. Last year was a torn ACL, now it's very minor knee scope. So I think that it's a guy to watch, especially in the spring game, Cole Turner.
We've got Ryan Cantor here breaking down Clemson football. You can join his work on tigernet.com, Shaking the Southland, as well on SB Nation, and also right here on YouTube. Just look up Ryan Cantor and check out his coverage of Clemson athletics across the board. Clemson, for as much as I'm reminded when I turn on anybody's spring game that about 3 plays into it, yeah, this is a spring game, because I get a little excited. I see the spring game schedule come out and I'm like, okay, well, because of what I do here, of course I'm going to cover them, but also I want to see some football. And then it's again quickly a reminder that it's really not football, but we have a chance for that first and foremost based on our first topic. But also, what I've enjoyed about the Clemson spring game, and it was what has made it the most popular for me to watch, is because the networks have caught on to, let's not broadcast this like a regular football game, because it doesn't matter if they don't get 4th and 3. They're playing
Right.
each other. It doesn't matter. Let's present it like a TV show. It's like a season preview. Talk to coordinators, talk to coaches, roll out the various position battles, the whole thing. And with Clemson in particular, having what I think is generally the most interesting head coach in the nation, they're down on the field talking to Dabo. So I enjoy the Clemson spring game from a broadcasting standpoint, just because I get to listen to Dabo break down his personnel groups.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't disagree with that. I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's better on TV, but they do a very good job capturing it and making it fun. I was there in person last year and it was cold and both quarterbacks didn't look great. They didn't have any wide receivers. It was kind of a downer. So I'm excited to see good on good. Dabo Sweeney talking it up on the field, getting you hyped for the season. Then you got to wait several months afterwards, and you're dying after that. But I'm excited. I think this is, at least for me, and I think for a lot of Clemson fans, the most anticipated spring game that I can remember.